did tell my dear panelists that if they could please not agree on everything, the conversation will be a bit more interesting. Because if they agree on everything, it's a bit boring. Okay, so just a few words about myself. My name is Victoria Gago. I'm based in Barcelona and founder of European Blockchain Convention, which is a blockchain event taking place in Barcelona. We did one event in Copenhagen back in 2019, but we're based in Barcelona. I'm also co-founder of European Tech School, an online blockchain school. And that's it about me. So, yes, we're going to talk about Web3 gaming, right? But before we dig into the discussion, hopefully where you won't agree on everything, I would like each of you guys to present yourself shortly. So, please, Alex, DeQuest, can you please, 1 minute or maybe 30 seconds, who are you?
A great topic, first of all, that we discussed today.
Yes.
Happy to be here. I'm Alex Kirchmaier, based in Vienna, and I'm an innovation economist and founder. I founded some other startups before, and 2020 I went very deep down in the crypto rabbit hole. I had to understand everything, and the best you can do is to found a crypto company as well, start working in the space, obviously, and yeah, learn everything that you can. And last week I left this startup again, so right now I'm sitting here as ex-DeQuest because I'm looking for new inspiration and new opportunities.
Very nice, thank you so much. Yes, and then next to you we have Laurin from Illuvium. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Laurin. I'm the Director of Partnerships of Illuvium. A little bit about myself. I found out about crypto 2015, got hooked immediately. 2017, I started working in crypto, joined a venture capital fund and an infrastructure project. 2020, I changed my role, went in for an exchange that I was running together with my co-founders at that time, and started a stablecoin protocol as well. And all that I've exited in 2022, going with my passion, which is gaming and Web3. So I was very lucky to find out about that position and joined Illuvium, roughly a year ago.
Fantastic. And then next to you, we have Assad from Medieval Empires. So you just presented yourself shortly. I guess all of you know Assad already from the previous...
I can maybe just add 1 or 2 points.
Yes, of course.
I didn't mention. So my background is basically I come from digital transformation and marketing. So I was a marketing manager global for aspirin, the headache pill, and for some other products. So and this is what I tried to bring to the company from the beginning on how to think. How can we reach the target group and how to make it very easy for them? Because in marketing, that's the main idea you have. Like, how can I reach them? How can I reach most people for the lowest price and have the highest ROI? And to make that happen, you need to make it very easy and explain the benefit you have of the product. And this is what I try to do always.
Fantastic. And then Benjamin from Zeedz.
Definitely. Now you're going to be mad at me, Victoria, when I say I agree with a lot that you said before, Assad, in your presentation, which was great. Thank you for that. Hi, I'm Ben, CTO and co-founder from Zeedz. I worked before at Dapper Labs, which you might know from NBA Top Shot. And I worked also as an advisor for the Flow blockchain in my role also that I did at Zeedz at the moment. What are we doing at Zeedz? Basically at Zeedz we are doing, Adrian from Spielworks kind of got ahead of me and told what we are doing. We are trying to give new utility to NFTs, so that means we build NFTs that grow with the real world weather. You can basically plant them in any spot in the real world and they grow with the real world weather, so that was our kind of passion to change something and to really do something, some impact. We work together with the gold standard for carbon offsets there. And the second part is that we really wanted to kind of bring on an impact, right? And this is why we kind of decided to go forward to something that we call play for purpose rather than play to earn. But I'm sure that we'll have plenty of time to talk about all of that.
Thank you so much, Benjamin. Fantastic. So the topic or the title of this panel is how will decentralized games kick off the next crypto cycle, and is the world ready for it? So my first question is basically, will decentralized games attract new users to the world of crypto and blockchain And if yes, how? Do you want to start, Alex?
The short answer is yes, I believe it will. But the whole story is rather, I think crypto, Assad said that before, crypto will come to the players because there will be games with a Web3 layer which where the user doesn't need to know much about crypto. It's like nowadays when I'm sending an email, I don't need to know how the 500 internet protocols in the backend work because I just don't need to know that. And this is where it needs to get from an ease of use perspective, and then crypto will come to the players.
Thank you. Laurin?
So I have to disagree.
Good.
So let's go that route. I disagree. No, crypto will not attract new people into crypto. Why is that? Because crypto is its own bubble. So as long as games, and here we need to think a little bit different about this. As long as games in Web3 don't build gaming titles that are fun to play, crypto will not do anything for the gaming industry. The reason is, you know, play to earn has failed from the perspective of pure play to earn. Why am I saying this? Because play to earn facilitates just one side of the market, which is the supply side. People come in, earn different coins, NFTs, and what they will do is they will put them directly on the market and leave. This will not create demand. Demand has to come from people playing games and really enjoying them and buying assets for those characters, land, plots, whatever they are playing. And the real truth is, I think the only way for crypto to compete with Web2 gaming is to compete on the same level when it comes to graphics and gameplay. So we have to become better in building Web3 titles. And also, then we can start with here's the value proposition. Now you own your digital sword. But what can people do with it? So it's a learning curve that kicks off once we get to the point that we have fun games to play and we are attracting the masses.
And then crypto will come to the players.
Then crypto comes to the players after they understand what a wallet is. But still, it's a learning curve that starts with building AAA titles in Web3.
Fantastic. Assad, Benjamin?
Yeah, I think, you know, it's that dichotomy of like, is the world coming to crypto? Are we coming to the world? And I think it's a bit, you know, it's quite of a chutzpah to say that the world is coming to us and is adopting those kind of Web3 usage that we are doing. So I think it's a middle ground. Like, we have to be ready when the mainstream is coming. And the way that we are doing that is, I think, a very good point that we build fun games. But to be honest, I think this is kind of bottom line. We keep saying it, you said it before, Assad, and I think it's very important, but it tells us something about the state of our industry that we need to keep mentioning it. Because maybe we wake up one day and we find, hey, we didn't even, you know, build games, we built some DeFi protocols with kind of like a gamified layer around it. And so it's obvious that people come for economic reasons, right? And as soon as this economic value is away, they probably also will leave. We saw that with Axie Infinity, right? So fun games first, definitely. And I think the very important point that I want to mention, I don't disagree there, but I will say be ready when they're coming. And the way that you can be ready is, I think, prioritize accessibility. This is something that is super, super important. If I may just elaborate on that point, is we sometimes tend to be in the industry very orthodox about levels of decentralization. And we say, hey, if new users are coming to our project, the first thing that they have to do is to set up a wallet, right? I firmly disagree with that. I think that users should kind of like go into the game, explore the world, be caught by that world, and then if they really see the benefit of something decentralized, then they can be introduced to it. And there's a number of things, like obviously I'm biased from the Flow blockchain. They introduced something that is called walletless onboarding, where you basically have a middle ground from users can just sign in with email, but in the background what you're actually doing is your admin account is having a child account that is for that particular user. Once they are ready, they can detach that account and put it to their own account. And I think those kind of solutions, I'm not saying you should all go to the Flow blockchain and this is the best solution, but what I'm wanting to say is maybe we should think about decentralization as a spectrum and be ready to compromise when it's about
Optional,
fun, right?
optional decentralization.
Opt-in, for example.
I think would be the right term to say here. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the whole stuff with the technical stuff comes from the idea of the blockchain, because there were a lot of tech guys who started that. And tech guys are usually not marketing guys. They are already, I don't want to say that there are good tech guys who are also good marketers, but the whole idea of decentralization is also like, it's a very big idea, and they started very technically, and it needed to be like that because you need a solution on how to build a tech that you can do it like that. And I think that this is the reason why we went into this situation of we think tech first, but not user first, right? So it's like it just happened because it was so tech driven, which is fine and which is okay, and it just takes no time. Now more people come into the space. Now everyone is thinking about, okay, how can we make it easier for the users? More marketeers come into the place and they make it easier to use, and then we will be there. It's just a question, can we even make it faster? And I think faster, in terms of what you also said, is if we have fun to play games and if we have easy accessibility, then it will happen. This whole ownership thing is, some people even at the moment think, I don't need it. I think there was one case with the suitcases when you travel. There were no wheels below it in the 60s or something like that, because it was very manly to hold them, right? And you would not, you don't need wheels because you're very strong. But then it was introduced by some company, and then everyone used it, but no one thought that I will maybe use it. But it's just convenient and it makes sense. And I think it's the same with the ownership, because why, like, if the idea comes into your mind, okay, I have two games which are basically both very good in quality, same quality, same graphics, everything is nice, but in the one I can own and the one I cannot earn, why would I decide to play this one? I mean, of course, there are some side reasons, because I played it for a long time, I have my friends there, but this will shift and this will vanish soon, because you don't play games for several years. There are just few examples of that.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's move on. Thinking a little bit more on the economic activity. So the question is, how can Web3 games foster economic activity and incentivize participation within the game? You want to start, Alex?
I can. Yeah, I believe that the ownership layer in Web3 games is a big opportunity to give players more skin in the game, effectively. So thereby the player also owns a piece of this ecosystem, and if I know a piece of the ecosystem, it makes a lot of sense to grow this ecosystem myself as well and to make it better, right? So yeah, the co-owning of users of an ecosystem is a very important innovation, I would say, that we have here with a Web3 layer for gaming. And I agree, games need to be fun. Just wanted to add, because we started with, we all remember 2020, those who were here already, when the first blockchain games, they called themselves games, but staking an NFT and pushing a button a day is not a game. And that's where we kind of came from. And where we are now is we see these good games in development, close to launch. And we have some, maybe we have a paradigm shift here in the gaming industry also, to have perpetual development as well, because of all the stakeholders that are involved and that give feedback and that can vote, and their ongoing development can also be fostered through that.
Okay. Yeah, so the question was about the economy of a game, right? Well, it starts, like most games in Web3, starts with issuing the token. And in a bull market, it's not too difficult to raise funds. In a bear market, the thing looks very different. During a bear market, even good ideas get frustrated, and founders get frustrated with the difficulties of raising the funds for their vision. And you know, the economics of a game, if they have an inbuilt token, starts really at that stage where you have to really think of your tokenomics long term. and not jeopardize your future success by being too pushy on, a high price to kick off with, or maybe to short vesting periods for investors. So rug pulls are a big issue in Web3 in general, and that is not different for the gaming industry that's entering or that is existing in Web3. And the economy of a game, well, it depends so much on which game we are talking about, because there are so many different varieties. What we are seeing here is, and that's really the innovation, the secondary markets will become very interesting in the gaming world. Because currently, as it stands, Web 2 is built on primary sales, meaning the company issues a new product, people buy it off directly from the company. There are some games that allow secondary markets to exist, but not in a form that we see in Web 3. And now, thinking about this, we are building whole economies that are very complex. So there has to be a lot of work to be done, forecasting not only user activity, but also the growth of the company and where this is actually going. Because more releases can really change an economic model. And by studies, I'm an economist, so that's my passion as well. The third that I disclosed today, but anyhow, so thinking about economies, building a game is really building a virtual economy, and particularly in Web 3, because people are investing their money, but also time to craft, find, buy assets, all kinds of forms. And you, as a gaming studio, you have the duty to protect, the assets of your player base. So building out from the scratch, a smart token economic model paired with a game, with the economy of a game is crucial to think about as a gaming studio right away. And yeah, that's my take on the economy of games.
Can I maybe jump in there and maybe we go this way, because I have something to say through that. And Victoria, you're going to be very happy. I firmly disagree with that, because I mean, you mentioned the economy and the importance of the economy, and I would say nobody here would disagree that it's important that you have your basics right? That if you have a token, that you have the fundamentals of your tokenomics, that
Nobody
do not favor rug pulls and all that. But I would say the fundamental flaw of Web3 games, the one fundamental flaw is that we focus way too much on the economy. Because that's one problem. Basically, I'm just, let me finish that. Basically, I believe if you introduce Web3, and that's a kind of like, one take. If you introduce Web3 to your game, you're basically fucked in two ways. One is, of course, you unleash the potential of economic incentive, right? But the place where you fucked yourself once is kind of you combined your game economy to your game success. And so if your economy doesn't do well, well, basically your game is also not doing well, right? The second one is that you constantly find yourself in this justification of why did we even introduce NFTs in the first place, right? And it's still a stigma in the place. So I would say the best way that you can do is to see economy not as important as you think and go beyond that. And beyond that, of course I have to say that because that's something that we do at Zeedz, but I truly believe in that, is there's more to blockchain than just the economy layer. We can think about governance, but basically I believe that what you can offer, mimicking what the whole economy is doing at the moment, is if you integrate a purpose. Something that ties your users to your project beyond the economy. What was the issue of Axie Infinity when kind of like the token crashed? It was that people were relying on the economy and financial incentives. And so your game has to build such a strong foundation to your users that even in downsides, even on downturns, your users will be active and interactive. And I agree, fun games are like very important for that, because then you just keep playing, right? But the second thing is that people should actually have a purpose when they're playing. For us, that's like supporting the UN SDGs with it. For others, that can be another purpose. I'm not this orthodox person who says purpose is just the SDGs. But I believe that's something that should be done, and we should think economy wider and not just focus on the economic layer.
I want to disagree.
Now you can crush that.
I want to disagree because
It's getting hot here.
I think that crypto in general or crypto gaming was started by people who know the tech. So token design, token engineering, how we call it now, has so many different aspects. And one of them is the technical side, which is solid. Tokens work, they are programmed, they function, but there have been so little economists involved really thinking that through. Games are one of the best examples to see how a token economy can work, because games, in my opinion, can become like countries by themselves. And what does a country need to do, a country in the metaverse? It needs to, first of all, create value inside this country, because then you can also send value out. If you don't do that, you have the Axie Infinity situation, you have communism, you have some government spreading money on people for playing, and they drag this value out and dump it. And I think it's the opposite. Economy.
Yeah, maybe I can add something there. So I also think it's very important. So it depends also on the game model. Like if you have a game what you just buy, and then inside the game you don't sell NFTs, they're just there because of ownership, but you don't sell, buy, and you don't want to make money with that, then maybe that's true. But if you're, for example, a free-to-play game where only 5% of the users pay anything and 95% don't, then your economy is the most important thing, because if that doesn't work, then you're out of the game, right? So that's why I think, but it does not exclude each other or something like that. I think what you said is right, and what they said is also right. Just focus on both. Like economy is very important, but also the value and everything you said is also important. So I would not exclude. I would just say a game, if a successful game, and this is nothing new what we do now, they need a very good in-game economy, even if they don't have NFTs. They just need it, and they need value, they need fun, they need all that. So we don't invent or reinvent gaming itself. We just add another layer where you own, not just, it's a big thing, and that's why the in-game economy gets a little bit more complicated, but we don't reinvent how gaming works, I would say.
I really like that point. Yeah, that was basically just like what I wanted to say with that is basically focus on what is beyond. And I totally agree. You need good tokenomics.
And it needs to work.
You need a good basis, right? Definitely. Just thinking beyond that, think through that scenario, what happens if your economy crashes? Because chances are high. Chances are very high. Because you have such a power with the tokenomics model that has been, modern monetary systems have evolved over 2,000 years, and still we have, rapid inflation, still we have those problems. And that's the cool part, and what I really love about it, and that you can build your own economy, and games are so well suited for that. Just maybe think through the scenario, what happens if my economy, in-game economy, not crashes, but it will most certainly crash.
But Benjamin, if it crashes, can we insert kind of a quantity easing program?
For example, exactly.
But may I add something? What happens when the economy crashes? What happens? What happens in countries when there is hyperinflation? People leave. They leave. They also leave the games if the economy is dysfunctional in long term.
I would, for example, disagree. People need to stay, but this is, I think, where the analogy of games in countries is a bit, going further. I believe that, for example, imagine Axie Infinity or any other game, you see the economy going south. People will leave the game that are simply there for economic reasons, so simply for financial reasons. Those will be the people that leave, just like math, right? But if you have a fun game and people that are there for hedonistic reasons, people that are there for purpose, that are, what I wanted to say before, they will most certainly say, okay, it's fucked up that I probably will not earn anything from that game, right? But I have something more than just this, homo economicus. Now I don't play this game because it's like economic activity. Like I'm not here to earn in the first place. I'm here to play. I'm here to experience. I'm here to connect with other people.
Yeah, I mean,
and so this is like, I really miss that element of community, of purpose and belonging in Web3 games, because we focus too much on the economy, but it's of course important.
I mean, you disagree, but actually you fully agreed what I said. So the thing is, yes, I agree. We cannot highlight the economic value of playing Web3 games, like, you know, this is our like marketing banner. Like, you play our game and now you drive a Lamborghini. That will not fly. This facilitates, as I mentioned earlier, just one side of the market, and this is just the supply side. This is not where demand starts. Demand starts, and that's the original point, because I've been now on various of these panels, and it always comes down to one thing: we need fun games. Honestly, this is the thing, because if we don't have a game that's worth playing and people have enjoyed the game, then that will not work. And
why was Candy Crush worth playing?
Because it's fun. Like, it doesn't matter if it's like even casual fun. It's enough time to chill for you to play a simple game. A simple game can be actually super fun as well. Like I was surprised myself, but retro games are actually very successful as well. And they are like old games that come now into life and are like played by their community, and that community is not too small. No play to earn, no great graphics, no great gameplay. Why are people playing this? It's nostalgia, right? So you have your own little niche. But I'm talking about mainstream games. We want to have mainstream people. We are looking at the market of 3 billion people in Web2 gaming. We want to have them over to Web3. Well, build a good game, I would say, that these people, you know, see something that in Web3 they cannot find in Web2. And this will not be the economic model. The economic model starts after. You have a fun game, you build your community, you have your player base. And now it starts where you really need to, you know, where you can think of the economic aspects from a player perspective, and all of a sudden you're a Web2 player, you come into Web3, you play it for years, and then you exit a game, you sell your inventory, and you learn like, oh wow, I made money on this. This is where I think the aha effect will start. But people will not transition over just because the aha effect. They will go there where their friends are and where fun is.
Very nice, and a bit of disagreement. Well, my next question was also around token economics. So, well, the question was, I think you already answered, like, why has some of the early crypto games in the space failed when it comes to the token economics? If you want to add something else, I think, well, Benjamin, you already touched upon it.
I think to what you said, Laurin, just before, the utility of a token inside a game, if there is no utility of the token inside the game, why should you buy that? Why should there be demand for it? So I believe, as an economist, I'm also an economist, right? I believe that like we use the euro for our daily business, I can pay you to do a service for me, I can buy products with it. I think this currency of this ecosystem, let's call it country in the metaverse, if we go back to that term, that currency needs to be a medium of exchange for services, for products, and maybe I'm a step further here in the metaverse, in a space where users are creating things, where everybody is a creator at the same time and a consumer. We have this prosumer society then in this metaverse. And if I create a new product, I can sell it to you with the currency that we use in our country, right? And you need to acquire that when you want to pay for something in our country. And when I say, please slay the dragon for me, I pay you. And I pay you with this currency. And then you have this real utility of a token inside an ecosystem. That's the only way, I believe.
Yeah, maybe just to add, there's also the option that you don't have a token, but you still have real ownership in a game. So that's also a route you can go. I think there is then something missing, especially if we talk about worldwide adoption and use it and exchange it and sell it and buy it. This is then missing in some countries, because if it's then with fiat money, then it gets like much more complicated. But there is a possibility that you can still own NFTs in a game without having a token also.
Yeah, no, that doesn't contradict
Yes.
that you own NFTs. That's another story. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a super important point, that you don't need to base, just because you can decentralize it or you can put it in your economy, doesn't mean you have to, right? And so keeping things simple, and I think that would also play a good role for accessibility, if it's clear what is your economy for. For example, if there's some use cases that you can pay people for, right, that you're doing inside the game, everybody understands that. What people don't understand is a dual token model where one is, a yield or stake for the other, and there's like highly complex things.
Ponzi-nomics.
Yeah, exactly. It's like nobody will get that. Only, maybe not even the developers from that. So I agree, keeping things simple. And there's again, I would say there's nothing stopping you from adapting centralized economy circles that you can kind of also use to buffer up your main economy, right? In-game items that you can purchase with credit card, for example. Something that I think as a spectrum we can be open for that, and that can certainly help as well. So I think great point, yeah.
Very nice. Then let's continue. So we're going to talk about now the community around a game. So what role does the community play in Web3 games? And will we see games where the player have a say in the development, governance, evolution of the game? What's the status, and what do we expect to see a little bit more in the future?
Should I answer this?
Yes,
Okay.
Laurin, go ahead.
I mean, of course, the community is crucially important for a game. It's not only the customer base, it's also the people that test it and give you feedback to improve the game. It's the people that have the ideas, that come to you with connections that they want to introduce you to. Me as I'm the director of partnerships. So I get constantly our community members reaching out with some ideas to, improve the games, or even, in terms of partnerships, who we should partner with. So yeah, the community is very, very important. However, there's also one thing about the community that is very specific to Web3, and there's a lot of Web3 folks out there that, our team is putting in the hours, the work, the hard work, and they are very direct sometimes. So community can be also, for some people working in Web3, can become a little bit discouraging. So to sum this up, community is a crucial element of any Web3 project, regardless if it's a DeFi protocol or a game, as it has various benefits and it does a lot of important stuff for the protocol or the project. However, do not get discouraged if people are very direct, because Web3 is very direct, and I think that's another difference to Web 2, where the community becomes more and more vocal and therefore has a stronger and stronger voice into the future of the gaming industry through the projects that are being built right now in Web 3.
Yeah, I think it's especially important because we are still in the stage where we are not very easy accessible, or a lot of the games, and you need people who understand that, and the Web3 people, they are used to it, so they know how to use a wallet, and a lot of games, they still have wallets. So if you build a game and you focus first on everything else but not accessibility, I think it's fine, because you don't have a lot of players in, so you focus on everything else, like economy, fun to play, whatsoever, and then you have your small but very good community of Web3 players. They can test your game, for example. This is especially what we do at Medieval Empires, so the accessibility part will come now in the next few months, but until now we didn't care too much, because it's you always have limited time and resources to do something. So we had test user group, and they are just playing the game. they have fun playing the game. They love to give feedback, because we started from basically day one, I would say, to make everything very transparent. So like if you go to our Instagram or Twitter account, whatsoever, every week we share something what's happening in our game. And we also ask our community for feedback. And then in the game, they love to give us feedback. They play it, they give us feedback, what's working, what's not working, where are the bugs. We don't need to pay a service for that or so, but it's just our community who gives all the feedback. We implement it in the game directly, and they give feedback again. So I think it really helps, especially if you have limited budget and resources at the beginning, to build your Web3 community at the beginning, which are not so important maybe for Web2, because they just build their games, they know how to build games, it's all clear, more or less clear. But in Web3 it's not. We still need to test much more and see what's working, what's not working. And for that, community is so crucial. I don't even think it's working without really good.
Community is everything, at least for us, for Zeedz. We wouldn't be here without the community. We had, I think, as many an NFT pre-sale. We were until now funded by that. And so basically our community, they are in a way stakeholders, and that's the one key thing which I guess everyone understands about Web3, but this is like such a new way of building. Two things that I would like to mention there is, if your community has helped you to get running, then you really have to mean it. I see so many protocols that introduce a governance thing to the token, or a governance idea to the NFTs, and then have really small problems that they can solve on, or vote on. So do take them seriously, and do take them as stakeholders. I mean, think of those people as investors on your board, right? And sometimes it's hard to moderate a community, and sometimes it can get rough, and it's not maybe the easiest thing, but I also really like to get involved with the community. And that's something that is really good. And I think very particularly for Web3, and this is where I believe the big potential also lies, why people stick with the game if the economy goes down, because they're part of a group, because they're part of identifying with the game, with the community, and through the Web3 elements, they can actually make a change. So I think that's such a good point here.
Alex, do you want to add something?
I think we, with Medieval Empires, also with some of the guys, we had some good Twitter spaces discussing these topics with the continuous development, like small launches, and you always get feedback. And I think this is one of these big advantages that we have now with Web3, that you have this community that is constantly giving you feedback, and you constantly create more value for the whole ecosystem. And yeah, the community needs to be a big part of that. They have interest in being that, and they want to give feedback, and they have a stake in the system, which is essentially what Web3 enables here. And thus community gets to a complete new level, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think this is also the important part. Like, they are not only the community, but also stakeholders, investors already, so they want to make this a success. So they really give all their time and all their effort to really help wherever it's possible, because they already invested some money in that, right? So that's why I think it's such a great thing, which brings Web3 and the real ownership from the beginning, because then they own something, they want to make it more valuable, and it's only possible if this game will be successful. So my own as an owner of something NFT in this game is, I need to make it successful, and I do everything what I can. It's great.
And there is this big pitfall. If the economy really crashes, you have a problem, because many people will be frustrated. They had much money in this system and they lost a lot. Even if they love the game, they will be grumpy. It won't be fun. And this is why economy still is super important.
I would just make one point against it. Like, as many NFTs, also our NFTs were affected by the market prices, but what we saw is that if you have a strong community, they can get over that. And that's something where you still find a core community happy for the project, knowing that it's going up, believing in a long-term vision. The people that are still here in these times. So totally agree with good economy, a sound economy, but people also punch through that. But I see
we have to wrap up, but I just wanted to ask the last question. Maybe you can't answer all of you, but so, I mean, you're all part of early stage games, so to say, right? But still, I wanted to understand a bit more, like, Web3 games in general, are they making money as of now? Or is it too early? And if yes, what kind of monetization models are we talking about? Well, you have to be very quick. Any?
You make money, you can talk about it.
Yeah, Web3 games make money. The thing is, just quickly, I touched base on this earlier. What's new in Web3 is a stronger perspective on secondary sales. So there is an economy, that means there's trading happening, and assets get traded between gamers. So when we look at a model that we had before, where primary sales was mostly for gaming studios the way to make money, we started to reflect on this in Web3, and we wanted to free that part of the business up, so that we are now getting into the headspace of secondary trading. It's getting more and more important. To summarize this, yes, there are Web3 games that make money. If they are all in a bear market cash flow positive, that's another question. But there's revenue to be generated, number one. Number two, the business model is changing. Secondaries, as I mentioned, are becoming more important in Web3 gaming compared to Web2.
Yeah, I mean, there will be this secondary trading which will happen, and companies make money out of it. But there will be also the general money inflow with in-app purchases or anything like that. Not everything in the game needs to be NFT, not everything needs to be decentralized. And there can be usual things you can just buy with your credit card or with anything on the Google Store or Apple Store. So you can make money with that, with the NFTs, and also with the secondary. But what's really interesting is that there are different models. There are some games or some ideas where you say your NFTs are free, and you just bring them on the market, and there will be a price defined by the users. And you can also make money with that, with not selling NFTs in the first place. I think this is very interesting. There are some examples out there, but it's always like for a classic thinking, also for us, like, okay, should we give our NFTs for free? And then do we make money, yes or no? We don't know. So maybe, we don't know. But I think especially for the Web3 community, this already works in some places, and I think we will learn more how this can work in the future. But I think if you have a really good game and they want to have your items and you give it for free, then you already have a bigger community at the beginning. This makes it easier. And then they will find a price and they will trade it because they like it, and they will generate money for you. So I think it's an additional new layer which is really, really interesting to explore more.
I think this is a really important take here, because price always follows value. Do you create value? The price will increase, right? NFT prices, token prices, whatever. And when you create a system where you create value inside the game, then you will have somebody paying for that. And then you have a business model. And Web3 enables plenty of new business models, probably new monetization ways for games. Whatever that may be, somebody will figure out. And these strategies that will be figured out, those who work the best, everybody will copy them, I'm sure.
Fantastic. Well, we need to finish, but just a few words I got out of this conversation. I guess it's very important we got that the games need to be fun. They can be simple, as Candy Crush, but they need to be fun.
By the way, our CTO is a former tech lead from Candy Crush, so
Fantastic.
we know how they work.
Fantastic, fantastic. Yeah, and then also, I think what's interesting when it comes to the whole token economy part of a game, that you kind of agree and disagree. So maybe the question is it all about, having tokens in a game or not? Or maybe should we also focus on the purpose within this game? Interesting. And also at the end of the day, I think also it's interesting that you were saying, like, okay, maybe see a game as a country and also like try to create value within it. Like, I don't know, you could be building something and then selling it to somebody else. But also I think it was interesting what you're talking about, like centralization versus decentralization, and okay, maybe even when it comes to the business models, well, part of it will be very decentralized, and then there'll be centralized stuff. You can even buy normal things with your credit card. So yes, it is early days, but I think there is a great future ahead of us in the gaming space. So thank you, guys.
Thank you
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
And talking about good future, I think one of you mentioned that he's looking for a new opportunity. I think it was you. I'm a headhunter for Web3 and blockchain, just mentioning. My name is Anna Ladczynski. Feel free to add me and we can connect later. I have to moderate
I will
now, but-
find you somewhere here, right?
Yeah, you know how I look like now, so go ahead and find me later.
Amazing, wonderful.
Okay, thank you. And to everybody else looking for a job.
Cryptojobs.com.
No, that's not mine, but mine is
that's fine.
Speech Executive. Okay. All right, thank you guys very much.